what's going on? It's Devus Wolf here, and welcome to a brand new video. I want to do something a little different, something a little more personal, so you can get a bit of a more personal view of my tastes. And those tastes that I'm talking about is my musical tastes. Today's video is going to be about my top 5 albums of all time. Now these are albums that yes may switch order, but nonetheless have always been in the same kind of place throughout all time, basically in the same top 5. So, without further ado, let's get into this. The first, the number 5 would have to definitely go to Blur's The Best Of. One of my favourite albums of all time because it introduced me to such great records from Blur, one of the greatest boy bands of all time in my opinion. Introduced me to such great records such as, well, Beetle Bomb, Song 2, The Universal, which is one of the most known songs other than Song 2, Coffee and TV, which I love the video to that. I love the video to Coffee and TV, I love that. Park Life, which would be pretty much the new fucking British anthem. Girls and Boys, which is quite a poppy one compared to Blur's usual stuff. She's So High and stuff like that. Just generally, this album overall is a great album, and I highly recommend it if you're into rock, indie music, Britpop. It's quite the all-rounder. It's a great package if you're looking for rock, indie, Britpop, and quite a few different musical genres. As well as, well, Damon Albarn is very good looking. And well, after Blur, well, they all did great things compared to most other boy bands. Quite interesting things too, like Graham, he went off around the world, you know, basically sampling and going all over the world, travelling. Damon, well, if you know me and if you know the history of Damon, he went after Blur, he went on to create such projects as, well, Gorillaz, one of the greatest bands of all time, and the Good, the Bad, and the Queen, as well as many different plays. I'm not saying that's everything that Damon Albarn did, because he did do quite a bit, but you know, that's most of what he did. Anyways, moving on to number 4. Next album on this countdown is one that gave me a great introduction into the world of electronic and indie music. And that would have to be Daft Punk's Homework. An album from, I believe, 1996 or 1995 that kind of really kicked off the whole club or electronica scene, especially in places like France where Daft Punk originated from. Has some great records, like even the introduction to the album, Daft and Direct, Revolution 909, Defunk, Around the World, Rolling and Scratching, High Fidelity, Teachers. There's many great songs on this album. I listen to it to this day. I still love it. This album is amazing in terms of the creativity, what Thomas Bangalter and Guy Mann could do with, you know, just so many samples, and what they could do in a fucking bedroom. A bedroom. Like what I do in my YouTube videos, a fucking bedroom. And they had so much equipment they'd have to work with in a small fucking bedroom. So, props to you guys. Props to you, Daft Punk. You really have made some amazing music over the years. And this was the album that pretty much kicked it all off, other than your first record, which was The New Wave, but technically this is the first proper hit album for Daft Punk. It crafted many singles, including Around the World, that is still gaining a lot of popularity to this day. It's a very great record. It's regarded as quite the classic if you look for a great electronic music. And generally, this album paved the way for many awards and many different opportunities musically for Daft Punk. And all I gotta say is I really give these guys my props, because I don't normally like electronic music, and they really started to get me into it. So I really have to thank you, Guy Man, Thomas Bangalter, however you pronounce it. Anyways, without further ado, let's move on to number 3. Oh, the next album on this list is an album that I still enjoy to this day. You know, I haven't listened to it in a little while, but it's a classic nevertheless. Would have to be David Bowie's The Next Day. A fantastic album, very creative, from a legend who sadly passed away a couple of years ago. And I really have to commend him for making some great works, including this album. This album includes some great inclusions, even from the very start, like The Next Day, which the video to that is a bit crazy, but very creative nonetheless. I think it's very much, I think quotes about, I'm not really going to go about the artistic direction, I'm not the greatest guy on that subject. But the video for The Next Day is a little crazy, but I guess I get the message. Then you got stuff like The Stars Are Out Tonight, Where Are We Now, Valentine's Day, and stuff like that. Songs that are very ballady, but one or two have a bit of a darker meaning if you look deeper into it. Like Valentine's Day is actually inspired from a school shooting, much like Kids with Guns from Gorillaz. But anyways, it features many great tracks that make this album amazing. Although, yes, a lot of people would critique the cover of the album for looking a bit like Heroes. Well, not looking a bit like it is Heroes, just with that. But I kind of can give Bowie a pass on that. I guess I could see the artistic direction, a bit of a blank space around the album. I guess it's just something about anonymity. But then again, as I said, I'm not the greatest guy about art and, well, the meaning of things. It was a great album. I can't say too much about it. I haven't listened to the entirety of it. I know, fucking kill me. It's been a while since I've actually listened to that, since my CD player broke, but I'll probably find a way of listening to it. But it's a great album nonetheless, even from the few songs that I have listened to. Anyways, on to the top 2. The top 2 albums in this very list. Now, I know a lot of people are going to give me shit for including 2 from the same artist, but these are my 2 favourite albums of all time nonetheless. And I can't give it any more of a better introduction than to just say Gorillaz Plastic Beach. Fucking Plastic Beach. This album was the very introduction for me to Gorillaz and their world. Even if it was very much later on down the line, and I had actually kind of split up at the time I first heard it. But, you know, this was the first proper introduction to Gorillaz that I got. Now, since I obviously researched into Gorillaz and know that this wasn't their primary or even their normal kind of music, I definitely researched into things, and I can very much respect it for taking a more synthetic feel and a more electronic feel to the album, because, well, the Plastic Beach is made up of garbage and it's talking about, you know, the world and global warming and stuff like that. It's got a very, very good message, a very positive but warning message, if you get what I mean, to it. Even though it does start with an orchestral intro, you can definitely feel the electronic vibe in tracks like Rhinestone Eyes, Superfast Jellyfish, Some Kind of Nature, Broken, even fucking Plastic Beach itself. These all show the synthetic vibe that this album was going for. An album talking about, you know, pollution, global warming, kind of war in a way, and, well, fear of the unknown too. And that's what I love about this album. It's got a lot of messages to convey, but its main message is, you know, about global warming and what it could do to us. You know, it kind of comes as a warning. You know, I've really got to give it to Gorillaz for crafting such a great album. Sadly, before breaking up for like the second time. But nonetheless, I've really got to respect it. You know, this album created a lot of tastes within my musical palette, if that makes any sense. You know, it broadened the kind of music that I liked. As I said, Daft Punk's Homework was the first electronic album that I ever heard, and Plastic Beach further helped me to develop my musical tastes and, branch out and look at different types of music. But anyways, let's just move on to the number one album of all time on this list. To get over with my number one most favorite albums of all time, I'm sure you more than know it if you know me personally. I'm a massive Gorillaz fan. It's the most popular record from Gorillaz, and I featured one of their most popular, most catchy singles of all time. And that would have to be Demon Days. A fantastic record, and in my personal opinion, a stroke of pure genius from the minds of Damon Albarn and Jake Hewlett, fucking Roots Maneuver, De La Soul, so many different artists that came together to craft such an amazing album in terms of music and musical direction for Gorillaz. This expanded on what the first one did. The first one was a fantastic introduction to the band and brought out tracks like Clint Eastwood and Rock the House that demonstrated Gorillaz' more, twisted vibe on the modern, at the time, modern or mainstream music. And, this album kind of further cements that, but takes it in a different direction by being a bit more personal with the listener. Each track talking about different demons that we can go through or that we know about. Stuff like Last Living Souls talking about loneliness. Kids with Guns talking about the feeling that we have to arm our children or that we are not safe in some of the climates that we have these days. And how the climate seems to be getting more tense and how we feel like we're never safe, no matter where we are. Oh Green World, talking about pollution and the darkness ahead, the darkness that will be coming if we don't change our ways. Dirty Harry, which is actually a callback to Clint Eastwood in a way because, they thought Clint Eastwood and they thought, we're going to do something like Clint Eastwood on this album, but let's do it a different way, and they chose the film Dirty Harry to reference it. And then we come to number 6. My favourite song on the whole album. And I know people are going to call me a basic bitch for, liking this song, but yes. Feel Good Inc. One of my favourite songs from Gorillaz on this album. It's not my favourite Gorillaz song of all time, but it is my favourite Gorillaz song on this very album. Talking about stuff like commercialism, and featuring, the most catchiest rap I've ever heard from people like De La Soul. El Mañana, a more acoustic touch, talking about, if you translate the meaning, I believe it's for tomorrow or the future. It basically talks about what's to come and, what could happen. Like, the road ahead is treacherous. Now, I know I'm not the best person in terms of musical direction or decrypting musical messages, but at least that's what I absorb from it. Then tracks like Airplane That We Reach Is Dead. At least what I think that means is basically climates that we go to, are very harsh, and as well as talking about pollution again, I guess. And sometimes how we don't know how to solve some problems. November Has Come as a great rap single. It's one of the few that are on this album. And actually, this album features a little less rap than the first one. But yeah, November Has Come talks about, kind of time flying by and just shit going on, really. All Alone, talking about loneliness again. White Lights talks about addiction. Being addicted to certain stuff. Like, the video talks about alcoholism because it's hobo and, he's, drinking white light and basically addicted to it and stuff like that. Basically, this track, White Light, talks about addiction. Then Dare. Fucking Dare. Dare is basically one of the danciest and most poppy tracks on this album. Not exactly got a meaning to it in a way, or at least somebody can write me in the comments. Feel free to leave your opinions or even your top 5s in the comments, or feel free to correct me, as I said. But Dare is more just a poppy track featuring the likes of Shawn Ryder as a massive fucking head. Fire Coming Out of the Monkey's Head which is a story kind of song read by amazing actor, well, kind of an amazing voice actor too, because he featured in Alpha and Omega in 2010. Dennis Hopper. You know, he gave a great reading of the story on this track between the acoustic sections. Then there's tracks like the final two, Don't Get Lost in Heaven and Demon Days, the title track, that really give you a heavenly or reassuring vibe. That yes, there's problems, yes, there's shit going on right now. But as long as we can turn around, look at the sun, look at the brighter side of things, we can get through it, you know? And it's a great message. No matter what you're going through, it'll all be okay. As long as you turn towards the sun and look at it in a more positive way, or at least try to see some positives out of whatever may be happening, this track basically says it's a arm on your shoulder, or at least reassuring feeling. You know, say everything will be okay. And it's a great closer for this very album. And that album itself paved the way for me to like the genres I do today, which I like genres such as hip-hop, a bit of trip-hop. I actually like quite a bit of reggae music. Punk rock, I love death metal, thrash. There's so many different genres that come together and blend in the lines together, that I love this album for being the starting point of where I started to get my musical tastes right. But anyways, let's just wrap this video up. That was my top 5 favourite albums of all time. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I know it's something a little different from my other videos I've been making lately, more tailored to my personal life, which is, you know, being in the furry fandom and stuff. I'm making more furry videos. But, you know, I really enjoy making different kinds of videos, and this was my first music review, so I really hope you enjoyed it. And if you did enjoy, I would very much appreciate it if you would leave a like on the video. I always appreciate that. And if you'd like to see more from myself, you know, more different videos, then hey, consider subscribing today, because as I said in multiple videos now, I do plan to try and hit 250 subscribers by the end of this year. So any help towards that would be massively appreciated, mate. I would very much love you for that. Also, you know, since YouTube's going for a bit of a shit spot right now, if you could, you know, possibly, you know, nobody's holding a gun to your head, but if you'd like to share this video around, that'd help me out. You know, that would go so far for me. So, thank you guys for watching, if you're still here. I very much appreciate if you leave a like, and hopefully subscribe today, and maybe share this video around. Other than that, I hope you have a wonderful day, a wonderful week, and Devus.